At our 20th anniversary dinner, I excused myself to use the restroom and overheard my wife tell her brother on the phone, "I've already transferred most of his inheritance to accounts he can't access. Once the house is sold next month, I'm filing for divorce and taking the kids to California." We had just renewed our vows that morning. I returned to the table, ordered champagne, and said nothing, but this morning she was screaming outside my house. I'm typing this from my darkened bedroom, blinds sealed shut, while my soon-to-be ex continues her meltdown on the front lawn. My fingers tremble against the keyboard, but I need to release this burden before I shatter. This saga is extensive, so bear with me. Yesterday marked our 20th anniversary. 2 decades with this woman. We even renewed our vows in her parents' modest backyard that morning. Nothing extravagant, just family and close friends. Mare Era glowed in a simple white dress, not her original gown. She'd lamented last month that it no longer fit. Our teenagers, Eric, 16, and Serenity, 13, stood beside us, visibly disinterested but present nonetheless. I actually choked up repeating those promises, reflecting on our journey through life's peaks and valleys. If only I'd known what lurked beneath. The day unfolded normally. I woke to Mare Era delivering coffee to my bedside. My first red flag since this never happens. After the ceremony and lunch with in-laws, we had downtime before our reservation at Carmelo's, that overpriced Italian spot downtown she'd been eyeing. During this window, I noticed Maya constantly glued to her screen. When questioned, she hastily explained, just finalizing some anniversary surprise details, with an expression that didn't reach her eyes. I assumed perhaps she was orchestrating something special for later and dismissed it. For context, my mother passed 3 months ago after battling cancer. Dad died last year. As an only child, I inherited everything. Their home, savings, Dad's vinyl collection, Mom's jewelry, the complete legacy. Not wealth to make us millionaires, but enough to significantly improve our situation. We'd discussed allocating portions for the kids' education and perhaps that long-overdue kitchen renovation. Dinner began pleasantly. Mare Era was unusually attentive, touching my arm, laughing enthusiastically at my jokes. The server brought complimentary Prosecco for our celebration. I remember feeling fortunate, despite the challenges since Mom's death. Mare Era hadn't been particularly supportive during Mom's final weeks, always conjuring excuses to avoid the hospice visits, but I attributed this to her discomfort around illness. Midway through our rat race, I excused myself to the restroom. While returning through a narrow hallway past the kitchen, I spotted Mara with her phone pressed against her ear. She hadn't noticed me as she faced away, speaking in that hushed intensity people use for secretive conversations. I nearly called out when I heard my name, instinctively retreating around the corner. Yes, eavesdropping isn't honorable, but something in her tone raised alarms throughout my body. "Russell has absolutely no clue," she whispered. "I've already shifted most of his inheritance to accounts beyond his reach. Once the house sells next month, I'm filing divorce papers and relocating the kids to California." I genuinely thought I was experiencing a stroke. My vision actually blurred momentarily. "Yes, Canon, I know this was always the strategy, but now it's becoming reality," she continued. "He's been so consumed by grief over his mother that he's noticed nothing. The realtor mentioned we should receive multiple offers by next week." "Realtor? Our house wasn't even listed." "The children will adapt," she said after pausing. "Eric might resist initially, but I've been promoting the California school, and Serenity and I share such a connection. Besides, they barely see Russell anyway since he's constantly working or was tending to his dying mother. Taking care of my terminally ill mother. Sorry for the inconvenience, Mare Era." "Don't worry about timing," she continued. "This morning's vow renewal was actually perfect. It'll make him appear even more oblivious when everything surfaces. Plus, no judge will believe he wasn't aware of the house sale when we just recommitted to each other." Let that penetrate. My wife renewed our vows as a legal maneuver. I must have made a sound because she suddenly pivoted. I ducked back into the bathroom corridor, heart hammering so violently I felt my pulse in my eyeballs. Her heels clicked back toward our table. I waited approximately 2 minutes, splashed cold water across my face, and somehow managed to return appearing unfazed. She smiled, actually smiled, and asked if I wanted to share dessert. I don't know how I survived the remainder of that dinner. I ordered champagne because my mind couldn't process alternatives. My brain literally stalled. I kept examining her face, this countenance I've awakened beside for 20 years, wondering who this stranger truly was. She continuously checked her phone beneath the table, presumably texting her brother more details about destroying my existence while I funded her overpriced pasta. During the drive home, she repeatedly attempted to hold my hand across the console. I allowed this because what other response could I muster? I needed time to process. My thoughts swirled with questions. How long had this scheme been developing? How much money had she already siphoned? Where was she securing accommodation in California? Had she been dissatisfied throughout our marriage? Upon arriving home, she became extremely affectionate, initiating anniversary intimacy. I fabricated a migraine, first time ever declining intimacy in our marriage, claiming I needed medication and rest. She appeared irritated but expressed understanding. While she prepared for bed in the bathroom, I checked our joint accounts. Depleted, just enough remaining for essential expenses. I opened our safe containing my mother's jewelry I couldn't yet bear to view. Empty. My father's watches reserved for Eric vanished. I waited until she slumbered, then descended to access my laptop. My devoted wife had been industrious. I discovered emails with a realtor regarding our home, listed last week as coming soon, communications with the San Diego School District, and correspondence with someone named Marcus about a fresh start that twisted my stomach. I spent the night making calls, first to my friend Stephen, who provided temporary shelter while I gathered my thoughts, then to my sister Anna, who resides a few hours away. By dawn, I had a locksmith at the house replacing every lock. I'd already packed essentials including irreplaceable documents and items. When Mara awakened and discovered my absence, she bombarded my phone. I ignored her. I visited the bank when it opened, explaining the situation, then contacted a lawyer, Joan, who scheduled me for 11 o'clock. I returned home around 10 o'clock, knowing Mara would be at yoga, gathered more belongings and the children's vital documents, left a note on her vanity simply stating, "I heard everything at the restaurant. Lawyer up," then departed. I proceeded directly to Joan's office and presented everything. She typed notes with incredible speed. She assisted me in filing emergency motions to freeze remaining assets and prevent the property sale. I was sitting in my vehicle in Joan's parking area when Maya's first hysterical voicemail arrived. She'd returned home, discovered the changed locks and my note. Her message consisted of screaming about my actions being impossible, claiming I was overreacting, insisting she could explain everything. I blocked her number and drove back home. I needed to be present when Eric and Serenity returned from school. They deserved hearing the truth from me, not their mother's distorted narrative. Upon entering our driveway, there she stood, pounding our front door, mascara streaming down her cheeks, wailing uncontrollably. She hadn't detected me yet. I observed from my car momentarily, watching the stranger who'd plotted to seize everything. My children, my home, my inheritance from parents who labored lifelong to provide for their grandchildren. As I write this, she remains outside, now perched on the porch, making tearful calls, likely to Cannon or perhaps Marcus. The neighbors are certainly witnessing quite a spectacle. My phone continuously receives texts from concerned friends. Eric called recently, questioning why Mom is sending frantic messages about my mental breakdown. The manipulation has commenced. Tonight, I'll collect the kids from after-school activities before she can, then reveal everything. The financial deception, the California scheme, the complete truth. I dread shattering their world, but refuse allowing her to control this narrative. This morning she screamed outside my home. By evening, she'll realize I've only begun my response. Update. First, wow everyone, the support on my previous post overwhelmed my notifications. I never anticipated so many people investing in my chaotic situation. Some questioned authenticity, and honestly, I wish they were correct. Thanks for awards and messages offering legal guidance, particularly the 3 divorce attorneys who shared contact information. I'm satisfied with Joan currently, but appreciate the gestures. Continuing from before, there I sat, observing Mara's complete meltdown on our lawn like some reality show audition. Nosy Mrs. Peterson across the street, who's criticized our parenting since Eric's infancy, pretended to water plants that required no moisture. Fantastic. I eventually exited my vehicle, and Mara spotted me. Her screaming ceased instantly. Her expression transformed bizarrely from rage tears to relief. She literally sprinted toward me, arms extended like some dramatic airport reunion. I avoided her embrace attempt, causing her to stumble in those expensive sandals she consistently overpays for. Then began the gaslighting championship. According to Mare Era, I completely misconstrued her conversation with Canon. The financial transfers merely reorganized our accounts for tax benefits, and California discussions concerned a potential family vacation surprise. The house wasn't being sold, just appraised for refinancing. She stared directly into my eyes while delivering these falsehoods. After 20 years together, I never realized what an exceptional liar she was. I informed her I'd discovered the emails, all correspondence, including messages with Marcus. Her expression shifted from fake concern to ghostly paleness with alarming speed. Then emerged the tears, not angry ones from earlier, but calculated ones she employs when desiring something. She began discussing her loneliness while I cared for my mother, how she made one mistake with Marcus that meant nothing. Apparently one mistake requiring months of elaborate planning and theft of my deceased parents' assets. Understood. I instructed her she had 30 minutes to gather necessities under my supervision, then must leave. She switched tactics again. Now I frightened her and behaved uncharacteristically. I laughed directly at her, confirming she was right. The former Russell would have believed her deceptions and attempted salvaging a marriage she'd already destroyed. Inside, she headed immediately toward our document safe. Unfortunately for her, I'd already emptied it. Her expression upon realizing I'd anticipated her move, almost worth enduring this nightmare. While she frantically packed clothing, I checked my phone and discovered numerous missed calls from Canon. Interesting timing. Apparently, Big Brother worried about his sister's mental health and wanted to understand the situation. Sure, buddy. I ignored him. Instead, I messaged Eric to meet at the nearby Starbucks after school, sending identical instructions to Serenity. Mare Era observed my texting and demanded knowledge of whether I contacted the children. I stated I wouldn't allow her to poison them against me before hearing truth. This triggered another crying episode and accusations. When her allotted time expired, she refused departure, discussing her legal entitlement to the property. That's when I revealed my first evidence. Displayed documents Joan prepared detailing financial fraud and unauthorized transfer of inherited assets, which aren't considered marital property in our state. Mentioned potential criminal charges. She departed, not quietly, but she left. Meeting the children proved difficult. I won't pretend otherwise. I nearly collapsed seeing their confused expressions. Eric maintained that guarded teenage demeanor, while Serenity verged on tears before I spoke a word. I didn't overwhelm them immediately, that would be cruel. Just explained that Mom and I faced serious issues, financial concerns had emerged, and they would temporarily stay with me while we resolved matters. Eric immediately penetrated the softened explanation, asking directly about divorce prospects. Intelligent child. I confirmed, probably, yes. Serenity began crying, which devastated me. Eric embraced her. This teenager who typically treats his sister like a contamination hazard actually provided comfort. I nearly broke down witnessing this. Mare Era began overwhelming their phones. Eric read messages aloud. According to Mother of the Year, I suffered post-bereavement stress, had embezzled from our accounts, and fabricated stories about her. She instructed them to join her at Aunt Anna's residence, warning against solitude with me due to my unpredictable state. The audacity! Eric appeared confused, but Serenity grew frightened. I took the only available action, revealed some evidence. The property listing their mother created secretly, San Diego apartment inquiries, bank transfers. I withheld the Marcus information. They didn't need that maternal image. Our drive home proceeded in silence. Neither child found words, nor did I. Upon arrival, both retreated immediately to their bedrooms. Understandable reaction. While they processed, I conducted thorough investigation, accessed our cellular account and downloaded Myra's call history spanning 6 months. Discovered numerous calls to a San Diego number, presumably Marcus. Examined our Amazon order history and found Mare Era purchased a Kindle book titled Co-Parenting After a Contentious Divorce 3 months prior. Revelations continued mounting. I accessed our seldom-used family iPad where she remained logged into Gmail, hundreds of previously unseen emails. Most damning was correspondence from her best friend Lauren titled Russell's Mom's Funeral Survival Strategy. The message detailed maintaining appearances until the exit plan materialized. These individuals strategized about Marrera's funeral conduct while mourning my mother. Evening brought unexpected visitors. Cannon appeared at our doorstep wearing his characteristic smug expression, accompanied by a police officer. They claimed I illegally evicted Maya from her residence and withheld necessary medical items. Complete fabrication. She requires no regular medication. Fortunately, I anticipated such tactics. Presented the officer with property deed in my name exclusively. We never added Mira after inheriting from my parents, plus financial fraud documentation. Mentioned my lawyer's emergency filings that morning. The officer quickly recognized his involvement in a domestic dispute and advised Cannon this constituted a civil matter. During their departure, Cannon attempted forcing entry. I blocked access, and he threatened me, stating, "His sister knows things about you that would make your kids hate you forever." I laughed and suggested he return to helping his sister steal from widowers. The officer, still within earshot, turned back. Cannon immediately silenced himself. The following morning, today, I personally transported the children to school, then revisited the bank. Discovered Mara had established 3 unknown accounts. Since we remained married in a community property state, the manager reluctantly revealed activity. Nearly $300,000 transferred recently, almost my entire inheritance. Fortunately, she hadn't transferred funds outside the bank, merely relocated to private accounts. I presented Jones' court filing, and they froze those accounts pending tomorrow's emergency hearing. My satisfaction diminished when checking Facebook during lunch. Somehow, within 24 hours, Marrera had contacted virtually everyone with her version. According to concerned messages, I'd experienced post-bereavement breakdown, become financially abusive, and now held the children hostage while making outlandish accusations. Several friends already supported her, the same individuals who photographed our vow renewal 2 days earlier. However, Mara miscalculated. She assumed universal belief based on her social nature. She underestimated my sister Anna, who possessed extensive evidence. Anna had suspected Maya's behavior during Mom's illness and documented everything. She unleashed revelations in group conversations, sharing screenshots of Maya's apartment hunting during my mother's final days and complaints about pretending to care about his dying mom. By dinner, opinions shifted. Even Lauren, Mir's closest ally, privately apologized, claiming ignorance of complete circumstances. Too insignificant, too delayed. Lauren. Throughout this turmoil, I monitored the children. Eric maintained angry composure. Serenity exhibited unprecedented quietness. Both communicated with their mother, and I assured them I wouldn't prevent visitation if desired. Surprisingly, neither accepted. Eric actually stated something simultaneously heartbreaking and pride-inducing. "Dad, I love Mom, but I don't like who she is right now." Just as conditions stabilized, my phone displayed a message from an unknown number. "This is Marcus. We need to discuss Marrera." Mara's expression upon my courthouse entrance tomorrow morning, armed with 3 folders of evidence, would justify every moment of our 20-year marriage. But subsequent developments, that's when circumstances truly intensified. Final update. Apologies for delayed response, Reddit community. Recent weeks proved intense. Finally have opportunity to update while children visit my sister this weekend. Enjoying coffee from Serenity's handmade mug stating, "Dad, at least you're not Mom." Child possesses unexpected savage humor. Continuing our narrative. Marcus contacted me. Unexpected plot development. Surprised me equally. I contemplated that message extensively before responding. Partially wanted to dismiss this homewrecker, but curiosity prevailed. We arranged meeting at an obscure Denny's off-highway. Neutral location ensuring privacy. Very cloak and dagger atmosphere. Marcus contradicted my expectations based on Mira's preferences. I anticipated some charismatic figure. Instead encountered an ordinary individual with receding hairline and physique less maintained than mine. He exhibited extreme nervousness, fidgeting constantly with his coffee cup. His opening statement astonished me. He apologized, claiming ignorance of my continued relationship with Mir. According to her narrative, we'd separated a year prior, cohabitating solely for the children while finalizing divorce. She portrayed me as emotionally abusive, having gambled away our resources, necessitating her protection of remaining assets. I nearly appended the table. displayed photographs from our recent vow renewal ceremony. His complexion paled dramatically. Apparently Marcus wasn't merely a casual affair. He was her pre-marriage boyfriend. They reconnected through Facebook when he commented on a nostalgic photograph. Classic scenario. His next revelation transformed everything. Mara had convinced him to transfer $50,000 of his personal savings to support her escape plan, after presenting falsified bank statements suggesting I concealed assets. He'd reserved those funds for his children's education. Consider this, she wasn't exclusively stealing from me. She simultaneously defrauded this unfortunate individual. I nearly sympathized with him. Almost. He revealed extensive evidence, her manipulative messages, fabricated documents, their San Diego apartment plans. He even recorded their final conversation after learning about my financial fraud accusation. The recording revealed her scheme predated my father's death by over 2 years. 2 years of deception. Following our awkward meeting, Marcus agreed to testify if necessary. We weren't exactly allies, but we'd both fallen victim to masterful manipulation. The enemy's enemy principle applied. Sleep evaded me that night. The emergency hearing approached, and Joan requested preliminary strategy discussion. The children maintained silence during breakfast. Serenity merely circulating her cereal, Eric absorbed in social media with characteristic teenage detachment. Normal morning, excluding the mom attempted theft of our savings, elephant in the room. Delivered them to school with uncomfortable embraces and promised updates. The corridor's distinctive blend of cleaning products and adolescent anxiety transported me momentarily to my own school days. Some constants remained despite life's collapse. Court proceedings differed significantly from dramatic television portrayals. Family court occupied a depressing beige room with uncomfortable seating and harsh lighting that jaundiced everyone's appearance. I immediately identified Mara and Cannon, she wearing an unfamiliar conservative navy dress, clearly purchased for a responsible mother impression. He sporting a tie exceeding my car payment value. Their expressions when Marcus entered behind me and joined our side, absolutely invaluable. Maya's eyes widened dramatically. Cannon initiated furious whispering while their attorney, an obviously expensive professional, appeared increasingly puzzled. The judge, a pragmatic older woman seemingly familiar with every divorce deception, presided. When Joan presented financial evidence, bank transfers, secret property listing, and finally Marcus's testimony regarding the fabricated separation and additional fraud, the judge's demeanor transformed from neutral to glacial. The decisive revelation. Anna discovered Maya's secret social media account. Who anticipated 41-year-olds utilizing TikTok? She documented her escape plan vaguely for months, nothing explicitly incriminating, but numerous videos captioned, "Setting yourself free after 20 years," and "When he thinks you're planning an anniversary but you're planning a new life," all predating my mother's death, disproving claims about neglect during mom's illness. Watching a family court judge review social media videos while Mayor Era squirmed might have amused me under different circumstances. When Mayor Era finally spoke, she attempted her tearful victim performance again, claimed my emotional distance spanned years, debatable, but who maintains perfect connection? That she felt trapped, that the financial maneuvers merely ensured security because she feared direct confrontation. She even suggested Marcus lied vengefully after their brief affair ended. The judge remained unconvinced, interrupted her mid-sob, and questioned the property listing. Mara claimed she merely explored options, without genuine selling intent. The judge produced the signed realtor contract authorizing sale and verified her signature. It was undeniable. The judge granted my emergency petition freezing all assets pending complete divorce proceedings, awarded temporary full custody. Mara received supervised visitation until proper custody determination, and most crucially, declared my inheritance separate property that Mayor Era had no authorization to transfer. She also mentioned potential criminal charges for financial fraud, though prosecution decisions remained with the district attorney. Witnessing Marrera's carefully constructed scheme disintegrate produced mixed satisfaction and heartbreak. 20 years together, concluding with her sobbing in a dreary courtroom while an indifferent stenographer recorded every word. The aftermath proved messy, as reality typically is. Cannon confronted Mayor Era in the courthouse corridor. Apparently, he remained unaware of her complete scheme. He'd insisted believing I was financially abusive. Upon discovering her deception extended to him, he erupted, denounced her as familial disgrace, and departed. Haven't encountered him since. Informing the children proved difficult. We gathered at our kitchen table with that persistently wobbly leg I've perpetually intended to repair, consuming takeout pizza because cooking seemed impossible. I presented facts without demonizing their mother. They would develop independent conclusions about her actions. Eric posed practical questions regarding living arrangements and education. Serenity simply needed reassurance of maternal love. Devastating inquiry. Subsequent weeks blurred between legal consultations, court appearances, and maintaining normalcy for the children. Mara relocated to Lauren's residence, who apparently prioritized friendship despite her earlier apology. She commenced supervised visitation at my sister's home. Anna generously offered neutral territory. Initial visits created extreme awkwardness. Mara arrived bearing elaborate gifts, obviously attempting to purchase affection. Eric returned most items. Serenity retained them but appeared conflicted. The court-appointed supervisor, a gentle elderly woman who knitted during visits, documented everything. Financial resolution required extended effort. Eventually, $320,000 of my inheritance returned through court order. The house remained mine as inherited property. My mother's jewelry and father's watches never resurfaced. Mara claimed prior sale. That loss exceeded financial impact. Social consequences created additional complications. Some friends distanced from both parties, avoiding choosing sides. Others firmly aligned with either Mara or myself. My friend Stephen and his wife essentially incorporated us into their family dinners when cooking overwhelmed me. Eric's friends' parents included Serenity in their daughter's outings. People provide unexpected support during crisis. Professional obligations presented challenges amidst court appointments and emotional turmoil. My supervisor demonstrated remarkable understanding. Apparently his first wife attempted similar actions, though involving less money. He temporarily adjusted my schedule. Invaluable assistance with new single-parenting responsibilities. Dating profiles began appearing as suggested connections, approximately 2 months following these events. Apparently algorithms detected my relationship status change. Not prepared for that complexity, possibly not for considerable time. The children continue adapting. Eric's academic performance initially declined but recovered once routines established. He began utilizing my father's workshop tools, creating intricate wooden containers, processing emotions through creative outlets. Serenity cycled through nightly tearful calls to Mara, followed by extended silence. They're gradually establishing new dynamics. Regarding Mara, California aspirations apparently paused. Court mandated remaining within 50 miles until finalizing custody arrangements. Marcus terminated contact following the hearing. She's employed at a downtown boutique. Encountered her once at the supermarket. Most uncomfortable 7 minutes imaginable discussing trivial matters in the cereal aisle while shoppers openly observed. 6 months have passed. Divorce finalized last week, more rapidly than anticipated. The judge's determination awarded primary custody to me, with Mara receiving alternate weekends and Wednesday dinners. She retained her vehicle, clothing, and personal possessions, while I maintained the house, inheritance, and remaining joint savings. She must provide child support, which feels peculiar since she previously managed our family finances. The house seems emptier despite 2 teenagers' noise. Some mornings, I momentarily forget everything upon waking. Then reality resurfaces, and another day begins rebuilding what remains. Yesterday evening, Serenity discovered an old anniversary card from Mara while searching for school supplies in my desk. It contained promises of permanence and aging together. She asked whether I mourned that lost future. Perceptive child posed the most challenging question. I explained I didn't mourn losing something never authentic. The Mara I believed I knew, the card's author, never truly existed. I grieved that realization, not losing the woman who could smile across an anniversary dinner while planning my destruction. Still navigating this unfamiliar reality daily. The bathroom faucet leaks again, Eric requires new athletic footwear, and Serenity experiences social complications beyond my comprehension. Life continues, imperfect and messy, but at least honest now. And Mara's social media account? Still active. Her latest video series addresses healing after narcissistic abuse and finding yourself after divorce. Comments overflow with supportive strangers unaware of actual circumstances. I could correct misconceptions, but what purpose would that serve? Some individuals continually revise history. Myself? I'm focused on creating a better future for the three of us who remain.